A student's overview of the Ageless wisdom was carefully compiled from the following books by Alice A. Bailey. A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. Esoteric Psychology, Volumes 1 and 2. Esoteric Healing. Esoteric Astrology. The Rays and the Initiations. Students are encouraged to download the free PDF version of this overview by following the link in the video's description, or to order a printed copy at cost from thebookpatch.com, but are advised to read the original, unabridged books in order to gain deeper insight into the ageless wisdom. Students are also invited to join our online study group at facebook.com/groups/students of the ageless wisdom. Chapter 30, Esoteric Psychology Volume 1. Stages of Man's Development. Process. In the human family, owing to the presence within the human physical form of a thinking entity, called by us the soul, the procedure followed in order to produce conscious control is that of adaptation. All forms in the three lower subhuman kingdoms are also subjected to the process of adaptation, but that is a group adaptation to environment, whereas in humanity we have the adaptation of the individual to his environment. The person who works consciously and intelligently at adapting himself to that situation and those conditions in which he finds himself is relatively rare. Conscious adapting of oneself to circumstances is the result of evolutionary development. The stages by which man arrives at this capacity may be enumerated as follows. 1. That unconscious adaptation to his environment of the man who is primarily an unintelligent animal. Low-grade savages are in this class, and many purely agricultural peasants who have not been subjected to modern education. The man at this stage is little better than an animal and is governed entirely by instinct. 2. An unconscious adaptation to environment carried on by the man who is beginning to evidence some faint flickers of mental perception. This is partly instinctual and is based on a growing self-love. There is more of the I consciousness in him, and rather less of group instinctual awareness. You find this growing self-realization in the low-grade slum dwellers, for instance, and in the petty criminal who is instinctual enough and bright enough to live by his wits and to show quickness in reactions and deftness manually. It is the stage of animal cunning. 3. A conscious and purely selfish adapting of oneself to the environment. In these cases, the man is definitely aware of his motives, they are consciously thought out and recognized, and the man makes the best of his circumstances. He forces himself to live as far as possible harmoniously in his surroundings. In this there is really good motive, but principally the man is governed by a desire for comfort, physical, emotional and mental, to such a degree that he will discipline himself into such a condition that he fits wherever he may be and can get on with anyone. 4. From this stage on the differentiations become so numerous that they are difficult to follow, being mixtures of pure selfishness, of a growing recognition of the group, of an awakening realization of the right of other people to a similar degree of comfort and harmony, and of a steady effort to adapt conditions of character and personality life, so that the purely selfish interests do no real damage to others. 5. The average really good man who is struggling to adapt himself to his surroundings, to his group relations and responsibilities in such a way that some measure of love can be seen. I refer not here to that instinctual love for family and children and herd which men share in common with the animals and which often breaks down when the loved individuals assert themselves. The tie is not strong enough to hold, and the motive is too selfish to resist the pull. I refer to that motivated love which recognizes the rights of others and consciously strives to adapt itself to those recognized rights whilst tenaciously holding on to the rights of the personality. 6. Then we have the work of adaptation as carried on by the aspirants of the world who are theoretically convinced of their group relation, of its paramount importance, and of the need of every personality to develop its powers to the fullest capacity in order to bring real value to the group and to serve adequately the group need. In true esotericism, there is no such motive as killing the personality, or of disciplining it to such an extent that it becomes a dead thing. The true motive is to train the threefold lower nature, the integrated personality, to the highest demonstration of its powers, latent or developing, in order that those powers may be brought to the helping of the group need, and the personality of the aspirant may be integrated into the group. Thereby the group life is enriched, the group potency is increased, and the group consciousness is enhanced. End of page 149. 7. Here we have complete unselfish adaptation to the group need and purpose. Those who have reached this point in their evolution are decentralized as regards their own personality life. The focus of their mental attention is in the soul and in the world of souls. Their attention is not directed towards the personality at all, except in so far as is needed to force it to adhere to group or soul purpose. These servers who are expressions of soul radiance and attractive power are knowers of the plan, and in every organization they constitute the new and slowly growing group of world servers. In their hands lies the salvation of the world. 8. The final group in this scale of adaptation is that of the higher initiates, the perfected elder brethren and great companions. They are perfectly adapted to their personalities, to each other and to world conditions, but as a group they are learning how to adapt the forces of nature, the energies of the rays and the potencies of the zodiacal signs to the world need and the world demand in a practical manner and at any particular time. It is here that the work of the disciples of the world, and of the higher types of aspirants, proves helpful as a field of experiment, and it is in the new group of world servers that the process of adaptation goes on. Purpose of humanity. This purpose is the transfiguration. This is the esoteric goal set before humanity. This was the tremendous event which was enacted before humanity by the greatest of all the sons of God in his own body, whom I and all true disciples regard as the master of all the masters, the Christ. What shall I say about this culminating event for which the entire personality of man waits? This third great initiation marks a crisis in the initiatory work, and produces a further synthesis experienced in the life of the spiritual man. Up to the third initiation, man has been occupied with the process of fusing soul and body into one unity. After the third initiation, and owing to an event which takes place, man is oriented towards, and becomes occupied with, a further fusion in consciousness, that of spirit-soul-body. I speak of a fusion in consciousness. The unity is ever there, and man in evolution is really becoming aware of that which already exists. Divisions. These are 5 in number from the standpoint of this treatise on esotericism. They can here be only briefly indicated, as elucidation of them would involve too much. 1. The racial divisions. These can be considered in 2 ways. A. From the standpoint of modern esoteric science. B. From the standpoint of the secret doctrine, with its septenary divisions of mankind and its 49 subdivisions. 2. The division of humanity into 7 main ray types, which might be enumerated as follows. The power type full of will and governing capacity. The love type full of love and fusing power. The active type full of action and manipulating energy. The artistic type full of the sense of beauty and creative aspiration. The scientific type full of the idea of cause and results, the mathematical types. The devotee type full of idealism. The business type full of organizing power, given to ritualistic ceremony. 3. The 12 astrological groups. These we shall consider in dealing with the rays and the zodiac. 4. The division of human beings into 3 esoteric groups. A. Those unawakened to the I consciousness. These are called esoterically the darkened sparks. B. Those awakened to the condition of individuality. These are called the flickering lights. C. Those awakened to the knowledge of the soul. These are called the radiant sons of light. 5. The division of humanity into 3 types of aspirants. A. Those watched from a distance by the guiding hierarchy. B. Those awakened by and attracted to the hierarchy. C. Those who, from the angle of the personality, belong to the world of forces, but are awakened souls, whose consciousness is being integrated into that of the hierarchy. End of page 150. The rays affecting man. It might therefore be noted that the following rays and influences must be considered in the case of every individual man, for they make him what he is and determine his problem. There are other rays, but the below are the most powerful and have the greater conditioning power. 1. The ray of the solar system itself. 2. The ray of the planetary logos of our planet. 3. The ray of the human kingdom itself. 4. Our particular racial ray, the ray that determines the Aryan race. 5. The rays that govern any particular cycle. 6. The national ray, or that ray influence which is peculiarly influencing a particular nation. 7. The ray of the soul, or ego. 8. The ray of the personality. 9. The rays governing. A. The mental body. B. The emotional or astral body. C. The physical body. 1. The ray of the solar system. It must be remembered that the dominating ray, the outstanding influence in our solar system, is the great cosmic second ray of love wisdom, a dual ray, that is, a ray combining 2 great cosmic principles and energies. It is the ray which governs the personality of our solar logos, if such an expression may be used, and, because it is dual, it indicates both his personality and soul rays, which in him are now so balanced and blended that, from the angle of humanity, they constitute the major ray, the one ray. This major ray determines both his quality and his purpose. Every unit of life and every form in manifestation is governed by this second ray. Basically speaking, the energy of love, expressed with wisdom, is the line of least resistance for the manifested lives in our solar system. 2. The ray of the planet Earth. Each of the 7 sacred planets, of which our Earth is not one, is an expression of one of the 7 ray influences. I but indicate one of the rays, and I do not tell you whether it is the egoic or personality ray of the particular planetary logos. These 7 planets might be enumerated as follows, and the rays working through them are accurately given. The student, however, must remember 3 things. 1. That every planet is the incarnation of a life, of an entity or being. 2. That every planet, like a human being, is the expression of 2 ray forces, the personality and the egoic. 3. That 2 rays are therefore in esoteric conflict in each planet. The rays and the planets. Sacred ray. 1. Vulcan first ray. 2. Mercury fourth ray. 3. Venus fifth ray. 4. Jupiter second ray. 5. Saturn third ray. 6. Neptune sixth ray. 7. Uranus seventh ray. Non-sacred ray. 1. Mars sixth ray. 2. Earth third ray. 3. Pluto first ray. 4. The Moon fourth ray, veiling a hidden planet. 5. The Sun second ray, veiling a hidden planet. Certain sacred planets and certain non-sacred planets have a close relation with each other through the rays which influence them. These are Ray I Vulcan Pluto, Ray 2 Jupiter the Sun, Ray 3 Saturn the Earth, Ray 4 Mercury the Moon, Ray 6 Neptune Mars. End of page 151. The ray which governs the sum total of the human kingdom is the 4th ray of harmony through conflict. It might be symbolically stated that the egoic ray of the life which informs the human family is this 4th ray, and that the personality ray is the 5th ray of knowledge through discrimination, the ray, as it is called, of concrete knowledge or science harmony through conflict, and the power to achieve knowledge through discriminating choice. These are the 2 rays or major influences which sweep through humanity as a whole, and drive it forward towards its divine destiny. They are the predisposing factors upon which a man may count and infallibly depend. They are the guarantee of attainment, but also of turmoil and temporary duality. Harmony, expressing itself in beauty and creative power, is gained through battle, through stress and strain. Knowledge, expressing itself eventually through wisdom, is attained only through the agony of successively presented choices. These, submitted to the discriminating intelligence during the process of the life experience, produce at last the sense of true values, the vision of the ideal, and the capacity to distinguish reality behind the intervening glamour. It might be of interest here to note that Ray 6 governs the path of probation and nourishes the fires of idealism in the aspirant. Ray 2 governs the path of discipleship and transmutes knowledge into wisdom, feeding likewise the Christ life in each disciple. Ray 1 governs the path of initiation, producing detachment from form, the destruction of all that hinders, and fostering that dynamic will in the initiate which will enable him to take the needed steps towards the initiator. It should here be noted that the rays divide themselves into two groups. 1. The rays of aspect, rays 1-2-3. The major rays. 2. The rays of attribute, rays 4-5-6-7. The minor rays. The outgoing sixth ray. The sixth ray influence served to attract men's minds towards an ideal, such as that of individual sacrifice or service, and the mystical vision was the high water mark of the period. The numerous guiding mystics of the Occident and the Orient have appeared. The seventh ray influence will in time produce the magician, but in this age the magician will be predominantly in the class of white magic, not as in Atlantean days, when the predominance was on the side of selfish or black magic. The following relations between the sixth and seventh rays should be held clearly in mind, and students should grasp the relation of the immediate past to the immediate future, and see in this relation the working out of God's plan and the coming salvation of the race. A. The sixth ray fostered the vision. The seventh ray will materialize that which was visioned. B. The sixth ray produced the mystic as its culminating type of aspirant. The seventh ray will develop the magician who works in the field of white magic. C. The sixth ray, as part of the evolutionary plan, led to separations, to nationalism, and to sectarianism, due to the selective nature of the mind and its tendency to divide and separate. The seventh ray will lead to fusion and synthesis, for its energy is of the type which blends spirit and matter. D. The sixth ray activity led to the formation of bands of disciples, working in groups but not in close relation, and subject to internal dissension, based on personality reactions. The seventh ray will train and send forth groups of initiates, working in close unison with the plan and with each other. E. The sixth ray brought the sense of duality to a humanity which regarded itself as a physical unity. Of this attitude the academic materialistic psychologists are the exponents. The seventh ray will inaugurate the sense of a higher unity, first, that of the integrated personality for the masses, and secondly, that of the fusion of soul and body for the world aspirants. F. The sixth ray differentiates that aspect of the universal electrical energy which we know as modern electricity, produced to serve man's material needs. The seventh ray period will familiarize man with that type of electrical phenomena which produce the coordination of all forms. End of page 152. G. The sixth ray influence produced the emergence in men's minds of the following knowledges. 1. Knowledge of physical plane light and electricity. 2. Among the esotericists and spiritualists of the world, knowledge of the existence of the astral light. 3. An interest in illumination, both physical and mental. 4. Astrophysics and the newer astronomical discoveries. The seventh ray will change the theories of the advanced thinkers of the race into the facts of the future educational systems. Education and the growth of the understanding of illumination in all fields will eventually be regarded as synonymous ideals. H. The sixth ray taught the meaning of sacrifice, and of this teaching the crucifixion was the outstanding emblem, to the initiates. philanthropy was the expression of the same teaching, to advanced humanity. The nebulous ideal of simply being kind is the same motivation, applied to the unthinking masses. The seventh ray will bring to the consciousness of the coming initiates the concept of group service and sacrifice. This will inaugurate the age of the divine service. The vision of the giving of the individual in sacrifice and service, within the group and to the group ideal, will be the goal of the masses of advanced thinkers in the new age, whilst for the rest of humanity, brotherhood will be the keynote of their endeavor. These words have a wider connotation and significance than the thinkers of today can know and understand. The sixth ray promoted the growth of the spirit of individualism. Groups exist, but they are groups of individuals gathered around an individual. The seventh ray will foster the group spirit, and the rhythm of the group, the objectives of the group, and the ritual working of the group will be the basic phenomena. The sixth ray influence conveyed to men the ability to recognize the historical Christ, and to evolve the structure of the Christian faith, colored by a vision of a great Son of Love, but qualified by an excessive militancy and separativeness, based on a narrow idealism. The seventh ray will convey to man the power to recognize the cosmic Christ, and to produce that future scientific religion of light which will enable man to fulfill the command of the historical Christ to permit his light to shine forth. The sixth ray produced the great idealistic religions with their vision and their necessary narrowness, a narrowness that is needed to safeguard infant souls. The seventh ray will release the developed souls from the nursery stage and inaugurate that scientific understanding of the divine purpose which will foster the coming religious synthesis. The effect of the sixth ray influence has been to foster the separative instincts, dogmatic religion, scientific factual accuracy, schools of thought with their doctrinal barriers and exclusiveness, and the cult of patriotism. The incoming seventh ray. The seventh ray will prepare the way for the recognition of the wider issues which will materialize as the new world religion which will emphasize unity but bar out uniformity. It will prepare for that scientific technique which will demonstrate the universal light that every form veils and hides, and for that internationalism which will express itself as practical brotherhood and as peace and goodwill between the peoples. One of the first lessons that humanity will learn under the potent influence of the seventh ray is that the soul controls its instrument, the personality, through ritual, or through the imposition of a regular rhythm, for rhythm is what really designates a ritual. It might be wise here to elucidate somewhat the idea underlying ceremonial and ritual. There is so much revolt at this time against ceremonial, and so many good and well-meaning people regard themselves as having outgrown and transcended ritual. They pride themselves on having attained that so-called liberation, forgetting that it is only the sense of individuality that permit this attitude, and that no group work is ever possible without some form of ritual. The refusal therefore to participate in uniformity of action is no sign of a liberated soul. End of page 153. There is no evading the process of ceremonial living. It is unconsciously recognized, blindly followed, and constitutes the great discipline of the rhythmic breathing of life itself. The deity works with ritual and is subjected to the ceremonials of the universe. The seven rays come into activity and pass out again under the rhythmic and ritualistic impulse of the divine life. Thus is the temple of the Lord built by the ceremonial of the builders. Every kingdom in nature is subjected to ritualistic experience and to the ceremonials of cyclic expression. The prime cosmic function of the seventh ray is to perform the magical work of blending spirit and matter in order to produce the manifested form through which the life will reveal the glory of God. Students would be well advised to pause here and reread the section of this treatise in which I dealt with the seventh ray Lord, with his names, and with his purpose. When this has been done, it will be apparent that one of the results of the intensified new influence will be the recognition, by science, of certain effects and characteristics of the work being accomplished. The coming in of the seventh ray will lead to this desired consummation, and the mystics who are training themselves in the technique of occult motive and in the methods of the trained magician will increasingly find themselves cooperating intelligently with the plan, and participating in those basic rituals which are distinguished by their power to a. Harness the forces of the planet to the service of the race. B. Send forth those energies which will produce in some one or other of the kingdoms of nature effects of a desirable and beneficent aspect. C. Call in and redistribute the energies which are present in all the forms in the various subhuman kingdoms. D. Heal through a scientific method of bringing together soul and body. E. Produce illumination through right understanding of the energy of light. F. Evolve that coming ritual which will eventually reveal the true significance of water, which will revolutionize its uses and open to man the free passage to the astral plane. This plane is that of the emotional desire nature, and its symbol is water. The coming Aquarian age will reveal to man, and hence also facilitate the work of the seventh ray, that plane is his natural home at this state of development. The masses today are entirely, but unconsciously, polarized on that plane. They must become consciously aware of their activity. Man is on the verge of becoming normally awake on the astral plane, and it will be through scientific rituals that this new development will be brought about. Other cosmic rays will play upon our Earth as this seventh ray activity becomes increasingly active, and the result of their influence will be to facilitate the emergence of the new racial types, and above all else, to destroy the veil or web which separates the world of the seen and tangible from the world of the unseen and the intangible, the astral world. End of page 154. End of chapter 30.